Let's look at education in Nigeria and perhaps education in Edo State. We're so privileged this morning to have the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Edo State, talking about Dr. Mrs. June Osa of Yahweh. If we're counting those that we see through the last set of this administration in Edo State, I think she's one of those. I remember at her inauguration, whereby the governor had to describe her as one of those that is finishing last. Madam, you're welcome to this program.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thanks for coming. Despite a very tight schedule, you still found time to come.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to be looking at the modern teaching methodology in Nigeria and also see what is going on in Edo State now. So how would you want to describe the modern teaching methodology in Nigeria? Do you think it meets the modern child, as it were?
Well, I wouldn't know specifically what obtains in the rest of the country, but I can certainly speak to what we're doing in Edo State. And the kind of methodology or pedagogy, if you will, that we have adopted in Edo is what is called the child or learner-centered pedagogy. So that means the focus is on the learner and not on the teacher. So with a learner-focused pedagogy, it also means that the teaching and learning process is more interactive. So it's interaction between the teacher and the learner, between the learner and fellow learners, and between the learner and the teacher. So everything sort of works together in a sort of ecosystem. In addition to that, we have also segmented each level of each class level. So those that are in the early childhood, what we call the early childhood care classes, the kindergartners, we've adopted, in addition to the child-centered pedagogy, we've also adopted what is called activities-based, play-based learning. So at the young age of 3 and 4 years, children should be learning through play, not cramming things or pushing things at them. Then at the lower basic level, we've adopted what is called activities-based learning. So teachers don't just stand in front of the pupils and just keep throwing theories at them. They have to do with their hands. They have to see. They have to touch. And then at the secondary and TVET level, we've incorporated what is called project-based learning. So as they are learning theoretical stuff, they are also being given assignments in the form of projects, so that by the time they go through their education system, they'll be more well-rounded. So they are not only able to just memorize and regurgitate information from textbooks, but they are able to think critically and also innovate.
Okay. All right. So you talked that your modern teaching method now, particularly restricting it to Edo State now, a new pedagogy that you guys are using. I know it is not far-fetched from the Edo-based, teaching methodology and all that. But let's look at it now. You also talked that you said that it's more of learner-based rather than the teachers-based.
Yes.
But don't you think there are issues? I mean, the teachers were not trained in this direction, and of course, you are expecting them to also train others in that direction.
That's a great question. I think what we've done since 2018, when the Edo-Best was launched, we've been retraining teachers. Practically all our teachers have been retrained. And it's not just a one-off thing. Before the beginning of every term, they go through training. In fact, what we are even doing now is what they call cascading method of teacher professional development, whereby we've selected teachers within our ecosystem who have been trained as master trainers. So throughout the year, throughout the school term, they are able to provide additional coaching and mentoring to their colleagues who may be having challenges. And of course, we are also now working with the Edo State College of Education to ensure that there is continuous professional development for teachers and those that are struggling. We have an opportunity to go to the College of Education and take more additional courses. And then to make this become part of our whole education system, we have now set aside one day every term that we call Teacher Professional Development Day. So on that day, at school level, professional development must be going on. Principals, head teachers must be able to have a sense of which of their teachers are doing very well, which ones are struggling, that need additional support.
Okay. All right. So it's a new session. There's no doubt about that. Today is Wednesday. School started on Monday for 2023-2024 academic session.
Absolutely.
Now, most parents are still in the pool of, trying to find out whether to actually pull their children from the private school now to the state school because of the economic situation in Nigeria and all of that. But you tell us, the Edo Best, what would you want to say are your gains and, of course, your challenges?
Oh, our gains are numerous, actually. Our gains are the return of discipline into our schools. With the harmonized timetable and school calendar, and with the structured pedagogy, otherwise known as scripted lessons, every child in our school system is being taught the same topics, whether they are in Benin City or they are in Igara, they are in Ogbona, or wherever they may be in Edo State. That's one. The other bit is, now that we've introduced technology into our school systems, we find that we are, teacher absenteeism has been drastically reduced. From the reports I got at the end of last academic year, we are seeing teacher attendance in the high 80s. Okay, over 80% teacher attendance. So it's not just coming to school; it's coming to school to teach. And then what is the impact? In fact, with the launch of the Edo State Learning Agenda in April of this year by Governor Obaseki, we have now adopted this academic year as Operation Every Child Must Read and Learn. Our target is that by the time a child without learning disability is leaving primary 1, they should know how to read. So that's 6 years. And so right now, so we are focusing on foundational literacy and numeracy, ensuring that at the basic level, they have that strong foundation. And for those who are already in secondary school that don't know how to read and write, we are now putting in place a very robust remediation program to also support them. So Edo Best has brought a lot of sanity into our education system. We are not where we need to be, but we are getting somewhere. And I think that is what is giving us hope. So we are, a lot of the innovations that we've started, we are codifying them. We have set up different mechanisms by which parents can be more involved in schools. Old students are doing fantastically well. You know, we are setting up a parents' council so that all the PTA chairpersons in all our schools, whether public or private, will now be part of the parents' council, so that at the point of policy formulation, parents have an input.
All right, so the Edo Best pedagogy, it seems to be more with normal school children. When I say normal school children, are children that are not challenged in any way or in any form. Now, what about those that have some form of challenges? Does it apply to them?
Absolutely. You know, we came in and there was a lot of things to do. So we had to go in phases, right? So in fact, I'm glad you asked that question, because there is a national policy of the federal government of Nigeria on inclusive education. So that children with learning disability are not supposed to be separated or segregated from other students. So, and Governor Obaseki has also given us marching orders since last year that in our special schools, we must introduce skills acquisition. We must introduce CVET, so that even our differently abled students can be trained to have options. If they want to go the academic route, they can do so. If they want to go the technical route, they can do so as well. And of course, we have been talking with our tertiary institutions, particularly our polytechnic, Edo State Polytechnic at Use, about setting up a special program to accommodate our differently abled students who want to progress beyond secondary school. So now that we have settled primary and upper basic, we have settled secondary and TVET, our focus in the coming year is going to be a holistic reform of our special education. Because what we also want to avoid is a situation where some of these students are being raised to be dependent. you know.
All right. You are the Commissioner for Education in Edo State. You are not just, Commissioner over public schools. You have private schools too.
Absolutely.
Now, the private schools seems to be running a different curriculum. They don't do the Edo best. I wonder, most parents are concerned. Are you not disturbed that you have a set of children in the States probably on a different curriculum, different from yours?
Well, great question. His Excellency, since 2018, has been saying that as far as he is concerned, there is no private school or public school. There is a school system for every child in Edo State.
An education system.
Yes, there's a unified education system, and the standards have to be very clear and must be implemented, and everybody must comply to it. We've heard from some of the private school proprietors, through some of their associations, that they are also interested in the Edo Best program. They are interested in the teacher professional development that we provide.
What is the level of partnership now?
No, but that's where we are. Like I said, we met a lot of rods on the ground. So you have to take this thing step by step, right? And now that we are at a point where we are settling public schools, we now have the time to sit down with the private schools.
You're on the verge of leaving.
Yeah, but we still have a lot of time. And what we are also doing now is we are doing a lot of things simultaneously.
I'm asking the Commissioner, I'm asking this question. Edo Best started 2018. That's
Yes.
about 5 years ago.
Yes.
Now you're on the verge of leaving. You think you have time?
Absolutely. It started 2018 at the primary level. Do you understand?
Yeah.
In fact, we wanted to pilot from primary 1 to primary 3 just to see how effective it would be. But by the end of that pilot term, because of the requests from communities and parents, we had to quickly onboard. So these things are not very straightforward. They are not very linear. It's a lot of work. And so we didn't want to take on too much and then we are not making progress. Now that we've tested that methodology, we know what works and what we need to tweak. We are now able to roll it out, just as we have rolled it out to secondary and TVET. We're going to roll it out to private schools as well.
Okay, now let's talk about infrastructure, and that will bring us to want to look at the 5 pillars of the Edo Best. The 5 pillars, we have them as governance, institution development, teachers development, and curriculum. Then we also have community participation, partnership, just like what you said a while ago. Then the school infrastructure, that is the learning environment, which is the 4th one. Then the 5th one, organizational development. Now, let's hinge our points on the 4th, goal,
School
the pillar
environment.
now, the school environment, because parents are so, concerned about this. Now, if I probably ask you, I know you would just say it away that the school learning environments in Edo States, have been improved upon, but we still have some pockets of schools that it doesn't look as if the state government is giving attention.
Well, we inherited a large inventory of dilapidated schools. Do you understand? And I would say in the last 20, 30 years, perhaps, we've not really had wholesale renovation and maintenance of schools. So even when prior administrations had renovated, because of the lacking maintenance system, not necessarily culture, lacking maintenance system, you find that subsequent administration, you start by when going back to renovate what had already been renovated that is now bad. So what we are doing under Pillar 4 is school environment incorporates so many things.
Yeah.
It's the maintenance. So if we've already provided you with school furniture, we now have to put in a system to ensure that when a screw is coming on loose, somebody is there to screw it back on. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So we've done a lot of schools. When I was in Subed, for example, we intervened in over 400 primary schools. So we are now at the point where we are going to also intervene in some secondary and TVET schools.
Yeah.
Are we going to be able to finish everything?
All right, just hold on. We'll quickly go for a short break. Then we'll be right back.
Okay.
TMI, every opinion counts.
All right, thank you so much. The program is still this morning on ITV, and we have the Honorable Commissioner of Education in Edo State, Dr. Mrs. June Usa Oviawe, talking about modern methodology in teaching, and we are actually looking at the Edo Best pedagogy, if you like, now in Edo State. Now, we're looking at the 4th pillar of the Edo Best, the learning environment.
Yes. So for learning environment, we are doing what we need to do as quickly as possible. to make the environment more conducive. So the learning environment incorporates the physical infrastructure, that's the building. It incorporates the maintenance of the school grounds. So, you know, who is cutting the grass, who is cleaning the toilets, you know, the availability of amenities, running water, toilets that are not pit latrines. So we've made significant progress in those areas. And the ones that we are not going to be able to finish before we leave, we're also going to put a plan in place so that the next people coming on will have something to work with.
Okay, let's look at the information we have very recently. Kudos to the Minister of Education, how you try to help parents in the area of the fear subsidy hardship and all that by reducing the number of school days from 5 to 3. But we understand that by now schools have been directed that they should be open for 5 learning days.
Yeah.
Now the fear subsidy hardship is still on. One would have thought that the state government would have allowed it to continue.
Well, you know, we also got feedback from parents and even concerned citizens that 3 days a week also had its implication, particularly in the area of childcare. So you know, the 3 days work week really applied to government workers. So whereas some other people working in the private sector still had to go to work 5 days a week. Yeah. So if their child is in school for 3 days a week, so what's going to happen to the other school 2 days? So looking at the feedback and the requests also from parents, we had to go back to 5 days a week. And of course, the state government has also graciously announced free transportation to everybody in the state to also help ameliorate the economic hardship.
The free transportation there are issues there. I mean, school children don't have their own separate buses. Imagine a child that is supposed to be at school before 8 o'clock. That child comes out and is struggling with parents. Is it the right move?
I have not heard.
But I've seen
students struggling to get on the buses. Of course,
most parents.
Okay. Thank you for that feedback. We're going to look into that, and then perhaps we will work with the Edo City Transport Services (ECTS) to see how specific buses can be allocated to learners. Yeah. Okay,
let's talk about something that is more real now. It's the beginning of a new term now. We have issues around how private schools stall, some children under the guise of books and all that. The state government, do they control private schools in this direction?
Well, we've just set up a directorate of educational quality and accountability. And part of their remit, beyond monitoring both public and private schools, is also managing private schools and ensuring compliance to government policies. In the issue of fees, I mean, as a ministry, we really don't regulate the fees of private schools. I don't think that's our remit, because I would think that private schools, because they are for-profit, set up as for-profit ventures, therefore the market necessarily would regulate them, right? Because parents have a choice. If this school is too expensive, you go to the other school. But however, where there are clear cases of extortion of parents, then the ministry has a responsibility to step in.
Okay.
Yeah. Presently, I have not received any of such complaints. The only complaints we have gotten had to do with the cost of textbooks. And in December last year, we called the text publishers, authors, booksellers, and even the private schools and parents to say, how do we move forward? And I believe we have done something in that direction.
Okay, now the kind of books you prescribe for schools, which the private schools also go into the pool. They go into that pool to source their books from. Now, I remember when I was in school, I had to rely back to the books that my elders read, but now it's different. The state government, is it not concerned, to that? Are they not concerned?
Well, it's a double-edged sword. It is a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, yes, you want to have that continuity. Yeah. And say, okay, maybe the life shelf of a book, average book should be 3 years. But however, we're also looking at, we are now in a hyper-modern age. We are talking about some countries are already talking about the 5th industrial revolution, the Internet of Things, and all this AI, artificial intelligence. So in this hyper-modern world that we are in, we have also research abounds that says that what you teach a child in year 1, by the time they are in year 3, that knowledge is already obsolete. Do you understand? So for us at the ministry, we are interested also in the quality of the textbooks that we have. And that's why we've started a process now in our textbook review to be very selective and rigorous. So we are going to come back to that issue of what is a good timeline. How, because I also don't agree that at least at that level of foundational learning that you need to be buying new textbooks every year. I don't think so. But we're going to find the right balance.
Okay. Now, one more last question, because I know you have your time to. When I was in school, there were days that our school heads will have to tell us that, hey guys, you guys have to be of best behavior today. We're going to be expecting the chief inspectors of education from Minister of Education and all that. But we do not have that anymore, Commissioner. What is going on?
What we now have is the Directorate of Education Quality and Accountability. So they are the ones now quality assuring every step.
We're talking about supervision, going around schools, and
that's part of what the Directorate does.
Yeah, but we don't see them. We don't find
them. We just established it. So they're going to start going out now and doing the supervision. Yeah. Well, you have to understand something. The chief inspectors of education were based in the Ministry of Education. They were mostly monitoring secondary and private schools. The primary SUBEB have their own quality assurance officers. So what we've tried to do now is to set up a one-stop shop. Everything quality assurance, everything school monitoring, everything accountability should be handled by one agency, properly funded and trained and more effective. So when you have different people doing the same thing, there's a duplication of efforts.
Well, I wish this administration will have additional 4 years. Because we are looking at the situation, you have months to go now. So we just hope that...
No, but what you are saying is about sustainability.
Yeah.
You know, we've put in all the work and sacrifices. So we are not going to just walk away. So what we want to do is to have a system in place, have all that we've done, put it down in writing. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So proper standard operating procedures. We are revising and updating all our laws. We are codifying all our processes. In the Ministry of Education, for instance, we are at the tail end of a total revamping of the organogram of the ministry. Positioning the ministry to focus on its core mandate, planning, policy, standards, and examination.
Okay. All right, so we want to say a very big thank you to Honorable Commissioner for Education, Edo State, Dr. Mrs. June Osa-Oviawe. Despite her very tight schedule, she found time to come. I thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, so we'll be talking about education in Edo State. So for parents that watched this morning, so you've heard from the Commissioner, things that you need to know, and of course that there is hope. All right, so thank you, Madam, one more time.
Thank you very much.